Piles of stuff are millions of rubber bands, seemingly unimportant. How are they made? The production of rubber bands begins with these piles of natural rubber. The workers first, a bucket of measured rubber processing oil, into a mixer, and then adds the mixed powdered pigments. When he then adds the natural rubber, which is the main ingredient, is added to it, the machine then works its magic, breaking it up and mixing it with the other ingredients. The whole process looks like kneading dough. The worker then transfers the dough to the rolling machine. The dough is pressed into wide, thin strips, into a wide, thin strip. Then he cuts the pockets of rubber into slices, and folds them together to make the rubber more elastic. Then they would add to the rubber precise doses of sulfur and other chemicals. Then the workers would again use a tumbler to roll the rubber very thin and knead it and cut it into small bundles to fit the opening of the extruder. This extruder forces the rubber through the die into a hollow tube-like shape. At the same time, the extruder injects air and talcum powder into the tube to prevent the warm tube walls from cracking or sticking together. After the tubes have cooled in a fluted water bath, they then shrink to a flattened shape. These aluminium sticks are then used as molds to allow the tubes to be steamed, still retain their proper shape and diameter. The worker will take the tubes that have been glued talcum powder onto the tubes, directly onto the molds. The talcum powder will keep the tubes not stick to the mold. Then they put the tubes into the steam oven. The hot steam brings out the strength and elasticity of the rubber. After the tubes have come out of the oven, the workers inject air between the tube and the mold to make it easier for the hardened rubber tubing to come off. Then, they wash off the talcum powder from the rubber in water. The rubber tubes are then hung up and drained. The tubes are then taken to be cut. But before cutting, the workers will sprinkle a little water on the tube, because a wet tube will make it easier for the machine to cut. The worker pushes several tubes into the blade at the same time, with the machine running fast. This factory can get 500,000 rubber bands every hour. The cut rubber bands will fall directly into the stock bin below, where millions of rubber bands have been piled up. The workers will wrap them up with tools, and then go through them one by one for any defective pieces. When the inspection is complete, the rubber bands are ready to be packed and sold.